Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about Florida Man. And most of us have heard that term before, right? Florida Man that does some crazy shit. But I've had a couple of people ask me about it, and ask me, since I'm from Florida, if that's a real thing, if Florida Man is a real thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of Florida Man, and then go through a couple of the actual incidents of Florida Man. And I was born in Tampa. For reference, I did move around a lot when I was a kid. My parents moved around a lot, so I haven't grown up in Florida every single day of my life. But as an adult, I ended up coming back after the Army and stuff, and been here since then. So I am a native Floridian and been here probably 80% of my life, something like that, maybe more, but at least 80. So I can talk about Florida Man from a position of knowledge. And the whole meme thing started on Twitter, when it was Twitter back then, because in the newspaper, they had some headlines. Florida Man does, whatever crazy shit. And somebody thought it was funny because they'd seen a couple, 2 or 3 of them, in a row where Florida Man had done some crazy shit, some dude from Florida. So they made a what's that called? Whatever, a Twitter account just for that, called Florida Man. And they would go through and post crazy shit that dudes from Florida had done. And it kind of gained popularity from there. And now you hear that Florida Man thing. But that's where it originated, on Twitter. It first originated in the newspapers because Florida dudes do some crazy shit. But the actual Florida Man meme started on Twitter. When you say Florida Man, you're actually referring to that Twitter account, whether you know it or not. And now I'll discuss a few of the actual incidents, the Florida Man incidents. I'll talk about a few of them and just kind of go over it with you. Some of them are really funny, all right? Florida Man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing an alligator through a Wendy's drive-thru. Yeah, that actually happened. That kind of stuff. It seems like probably 50% of the Florida Man incidents have something to do with alligators, and most likely alcohol. I've never gotten drunk and done anything crazy with an alligator, but it's just because there wasn't an alligator handy, probably, more than any kind of moral thing. If I got drunk enough and there was one handy, I probably would have thrown an alligator at somebody. But yeah, alligators are just all over the place here. And that's one thing about Floridians, is that we're so used to seeing them that, a 6-foot alligator is not a big deal, really. I mean, that might sound unbelievable to people around the country or around the world, except maybe Australians. But we see a 6-foot alligator and it's just not a big deal. Native Floridians. Now people come down here from New York and Canada and other places and they see an alligator and they're scared. But, a native Floridian, we see a 6-foot alligator, it's like seeing a tame dog, As a matter of fact, if I was walking down the street and there was a Rottweiler on one side of the street and a 6-foot alligator on the other, I would 100% of the time, without even thinking about it, go toward the alligator and go away from the dog. The alligator, he's not going to bother me. I know he's most likely he's going to run away if I head toward him. And even if he does try to, bite me, then he's just going to bite me just like the dog. So, but there's a much higher chance that the dog will bite me than the alligator will. Yeah. So it just, Florida, especially Florida dudes, we're not afraid of alligators, and if getting drunk and grabbing one and waving it around, that seems like a normal thing to do. uh, all right. Florida man gets tired of waiting at the hospital, steals the ambulance, and drives home. Yeah, that is something that we see. That's the kind of shit we see. Florida man breaks into jail to hang out with friends. There's a lot of stuff that has to do with just insane, crazy stuff or drugs. I don't know why. I think I have a suspicion that it has to do with like crystal meth and stuff, and people being up for many days and starting to hallucinate and shit, and they just do crazy stuff. I don't know. Florida man arrested for assaulting his girlfriend with a fried chicken. Now, these are all real. These made headlines. Florida man steals neighbor's peacock and then gets chased by the rest of the birds. Florida man stabs a tourist despite having no arms. So the dude's got no arms. He still managed to stab a tourist to get arrested for stabbing a tourist. Florida man arrested for driving a stolen vehicle with a monkey. He had a monkey with him. He stole a car. Well, yeah, with a monkey in tow. What the hell you got a monkey for if you're going to go committing crimes? Florida man pauses police chase to rehydrate with a stolen Capri Sun. Says smoking crack makes him thirsty. That shit cracks me up. Florida man gives police exonerating dash cam video following traffic accident. Accidentally includes video of him robbing a beauty store. He must have videoed himself robbing a beauty store and then forgot that the video was on there. Florida man steals a BMW after he's told he can't buy it with food stamps. Florida man arrested in local park for practicing karate on the swans. Florida man says he was dancing on the hood of a patrol car in order to escape vampires. Florida man asked the trooper if he can leave the scene of a crash so he can get more meth. Florida man wearing a mop on his head terrifies neighbors with demands for eggs. Florida man filmed stealing dozens of pigeons while wearing trash bag and bucket on his head. Florida man steals bees because he thought they were abandoned. Florida man wanders naked through neighborhood holding cooking oil, and he has an erection. Says he's aroused by rain. Florida man caught trying to smuggle a dead alligator in a car. Underwear clad Florida man spends 4 hours yelling at people from the roof of a Wendy's. Florida man bursts into ex's delivery room and then starts a fight with her new boyfriend as she's giving birth. So these two dudes scuffle around on the delivery room floor. Florida man blows a .339 blood alcohol level and gets a DUI on a golf cart. Now that could happen every day. Those old dudes are driving their golf carts drunk constantly. Yeah, constantly. Florida man arrested for crashing into a mall. Says he was trying to time travel. Police say Florida man with no arms and no legs is armed and on the run. That's an actual thing. Paraplegic. Yeah. Florida man grabs an alligator, then chases customers around in the store while on a beer run. Florida man arrested for trying to get an alligator drunk. Now, I remember this one. Florida man fights off an alligator that attacked his dog. I don't think that was a Florida man, though. I mean, technically it was, but it was somebody from up north. They were walking their little toy poodle or something along the edge of a lake, and all of us native Floridians, we know you don't take your dog down by the water. Yeah, no, we don't do that. So I think that wasn't a native Floridian who did that. He jumped in the water though and got his dog back, grabbed that alligator and got his dog back. I remember seeing that in the news. Florida man arrested after botched castration surgery. Some dude, there was two dudes that came up with a plan, and the one guy wanted to be castrated, and his buddy said, "Sure, I'll do it for you." I don't know who was crazier in that scenario there. Florida man busted with guns and baby alligator in truck. Yeah, there's probably thousands of them who didn't get busted, but that doesn't surprise me at all. A Florida man driving a car with two missing tires blames it on paranormal activity. I'll tell you, a lot of this is because they're on crystal meth. And they've been up for like 3 or 4 days and they're hallucinating. I've actually been on the job site with guys like that. They're, come to work and they're all hallucinating. I'm like, what's wrong with you, dude? Oh man, I've been up for, 4 or 5 days or whatever the number was. I haven't been to sleep since whenever. Starting to get to me. Dude, quit smoking that shit. That's what you need to do. Yeah. Florida man drives stolen truck to Space Force base to warn of a battle between aliens and dragons. I'm telling you, there's crystal meth involved in that shit, in those kind of stories. Florida man accused of shooting his roommate 10 times over an argument about cats. And cats aren't that damn important. Florida man pulled over and then arrested for having a clown mannequin and a live grenade in his pickup truck. Florida man captures alligator with a trash bin. Florida man trapped in an unlocked closet for 2 days. And I don't know, but most of these are real. Florida man jumps into a Bass Pro Shops fish tank in South Florida. Florida man protects his car from Hurricane Dorian by parking it in his kitchen. Florida man killed by an alligator while hiding from cops. Just go into the water. Yeah. I mean, we do have big alligators here. Don't get me wrong. We've got them big enough to kill you, but we've got enough sense to stay away from them. You don't go out into the water and just hang out there for hours. That's the thing. You got to be making noise. You can't be hiding, acting like prey when them big alligators come for you. All right, and our Florida man thing, it is real. We do have a lot of crazy stuff happen in Florida, okay? And a decent percentage of that stuff happens because we have a lot of vacationers down here who are just, loose and trying to have a good time. So they might do some drugs that they normally wouldn't do, or they might drink a little more than they would normally drink. They're just here to party and have a good time, right? So they do crazy shit sometimes. Another thing is that we have a lot of retired people down here, right? And retired people, believe it or not, a lot of them just do crazy stuff. They do crazy stuff. There's like no limit anymore. They're just waiting to die. So they just think they don't have to abide by life's rules anymore. They just drink until, every day, just like it's their job to drink now, and driving around on these golf carts. The only time they really get in trouble with that stuff is when they get out on the road. A lot of times they'll have golf cart pass, and as long as they can stay on there pretty well, they'll make it home. But if they get out on the road, you're drunk enough to get out on a actual road, swerving around in a golf cart, somebody, a cop's gonna grab your ass. But honestly, a lot of retirees down here are just living life. You know, they've got a whole bundle of money saved up, and 5 or 10 years to party, and they come down here and it's just like they treat it like they're on a 10-year long cruise, and they're just throwing caution to the wind. So a lot of that stuff is retirees. And then the younger people are just drunk, one, or like I said before, they've been doing drugs. They're on crystal meth. They've been on crystal meth for, several days and haven't been to sleep, so they're hallucinating and shit. But the Florida man thing is real. It is real. We get that headline. A lot of crazy stuff happens here in Florida. A lot of crazy stuff with the native wildlife, a lot of crazy stuff with each other. I don't know, maybe the sun just gets to people, if you've been up for 3 or 4 days on crystal meth and the sun cooking your ass, but it tends to drive people crazy, I guess. That and, being out on the golf course when you're 75 and you're hammered drunk. And the sun cooking your ass, you're liable to get mad and do some crazy shit with that golf club or that golf cart or whatever. Yeah. But Florida man is a thing. It's just, and now it's become a thing to put Florida man, anybody that does some crazy shit in Florida, any male, they'll put Florida man in front of it. I know a lot of states have their share of crazy people doing crazy shit, but Florida seems to have an abundance of them. Let me know what you think. How does Florida compare to your state or your country where you're from? Do you have people doing a lot of crazy shit over there? Where you're at? How does Florida man compare? And be sure to tune in tomorrow's video. It's going to be about the social media. I'm going to talk about social media and its impact and the kind of stuff that's going on there today and life before social media. So I think that's going to be an interesting video. So I invite you to go check that one out tomorrow morning. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate anybody who does that. Thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff over there. But I'll leave that link down in the description as well for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I really do appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.